I'm gonna get started here since it's 1:30 and I have a lot of content to cover, so might as well get going. I'm happy to see you all here, and I am going to ask you a question by a show of hands. Just curious, who has used AI? Have you used Siri? Have you watched Netflix? Have you listened to Spotify? Have you used your appliances, your smart appliances? So what's interesting is that we think that AI is so new and it just, started with ChatGPT November of 2022, but actually AI has been part of the fabric of everything that we have done for a very long time. And just think of Amazon. Amazon actually has been one of the first corporation that has included AI into their systems from the very beginning. They are who they are today because AI algorithms were what built Amazon to be what it's today. So AI is not new. It's not something that we haven't dealt with. It's not something that we're not dealing with on a daily basis. Like, just think of streaming services that constantly feed you. What's the next binge-worthy show you're gonna watch, when you go home? What's the next playlist that you're gonna listen to? So all of the AI tools that we think they're new, they're not. They've been around for a little while. I think it's just us putting a label to it and looking at it as, oh, this is something that I need to learn more about. Well, you've been using it, so in so many ways, you're kind of an expert, so I'm not quite sure what you're doing here. Might as well say, well, I know everything that it is to know about AI. Well, my goal is actually to take it up a notch and just get a little bit more tactical and strategic with tools that apply to business, to marketing, to strategy. And before we do that, actually, really quick, let me introduce myself. My name is Anca Platon Trifan. Actually, I own a production agency, technology agency. Trifan Events has been in the Treasure Valley for 8 years. I have been in that business for about 20 years. And I'm also the host of Events Demystifying podcast. It's a podcast that taps into technology, and it's running right now, Eventful AI and the evolution of it, specifically to events and businesses. Events are my background, event productions and technology, as I said. So I have a lot of interesting conversations with a lot of thought leaders in this space. So look it up if you are interested about those conversations. I've also been fortunate enough to get quite a few accolades and awards into the industry. And the most thing that I'm actually passionate about is the communities that I founded. And those are women behind the scenes in production and technology, because I have been one of those women that I have worked in the production world, in a male-dominated world for 20 years. So I needed a community around me. And I just, I'm a doer, so I usually start things and I want to lead things. Also, fun fact, I'm also a bodybuilding competitor. My next show is coming up in 10 days. So that's going to be fun in Vegas. And in a nutshell, that's who I am. And I have 2 small kids that are wonderful, and they make my day a very joyous and very difficult. All right, with that, what I would love to know actually is ways in which you see AI solving some of the challenges that you're facing. So if you could actually point to your phone at the screen, there's a QR code. I would love to hear from you. What are some of the pressing challenges that you are looking to solve with AI? So do that. And while you're doing it, I'm going to move into the next slide, which still has the QR code on that. And we're going to revisit the answer. So the QR code is still up there if you didn't catch it. And what I want to cover today basically is going to go over some of the implementation AI landscape of today. Also, we're going to go over a little bit of an AI glossary, just so we speak the same language, even though I speak with an accent. Prompting basics, I'm not going to go hard on that just because I have resources that I can send you to actually be watching on your own time and get more learning and understanding on that. We're going to look at the current AI landscape and what's happening and how many tools there are out there. And then we're going to look at AI in action, real world applications, matchmaking. What are some of the tools that you could use in your business that could actually increase your productivity, but also enhance some of your processes? And the human touch is another thing that I'm passionate about when it comes to AI, because at the end of the day, no matter how much technology will evolve, people still want to work with people. And then conclusions, takeaways, questions, and that's basically the plan for today. And with that, I would love to see what our results were. So I got to navigate here to a tiny window that I can barely see, but hopefully it's going to get me there. Okay. Let's see. All right. So challenges, save time, efficiency, robotics. So whoever said that, I'm thinking implementation in services, in processes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Help write boring emails. I'm all about that. Which tool to use, marketing, taglines, focus. Okay, all of that are really good answers. Thank you so much for answering that. You can definitely add more as we go. And with that, it used to be that up until this year, you would say, if you don't know something, Google it. Actually, AI it is more like now the norm, believe it or not. Like that's gonna be not just a catchphrase, but the reality of business innovation and efficiency. And it's a shift that is about accessing information and changing how we make decisions, how we optimize workflows, how we create processes, and how we plan for the future. And for a small business or any business at all, this isn't just a trend, it's really a game changer. So there's ways in which if you're going to incorporate AI into your systems, it's gonna shift the way you do customer service, the way you do informed data decisions based on analytics, based on data. It's going to enhance efficiency more than anything and streamline operations. And I'm all about streamlining operations and automation if I can do that, because if I can do more with less, that just means it gives me more time to do other fun things like working out so I can compete in bodybuilding competitions. So here's some interesting data that just came out from a recent census that was collected in December of 2023, so just a few months ago. And it shows what is the AI adoption rate for businesses. And nearly 7% of US firms right now say that they plan on using AI soon. And there's a map, and this was interesting to see who's actually leading the way in US in AI adoption. It's not Idaho. It's Rhode Island, although if you look at Oregon, it's actually coming close. Well, that was kind of surprising. And there's a lot of businesses that are looking to actually incorporate AI into the next 6 months. So there's a lot of movement that's going towards that. There's going to be a lot of change. And with that, there's going to be a lot of different ways in which we're going to be able to implement that into our own businesses to make sure that we stay, up to date. Now, the disclaimer is that when you implement new technology, that's more like a three-legged stool. You have to have people, you have to have processes, and then you have to have technology. Because if all you have is poor processes and then you throw technology at it, what you're going to get is very expensive, poor processes. And nobody wants to throw a lot of money at a business and then realize that, oh, we started with poor processes and now we're going to get like even worse, right? So that's something to keep in mind, because if you're going to invest in it, you have to invest in training. You're going to have to invest in your management to understand it. You're going to want to be equipped and ready for what's coming next, because those AI tools are changing at a lightning speed. I prepare usually my AI talks only 2 weeks in advance prior to the date when I'm going to give the talk, because in that time frame between my last, I had two AI talks that I gave in January, and I couldn't use any of the information that I used in January because that's already changed. Like the things are changing so fast that sometimes like I feel overwhelmed. It's like send me into a Target store for a black shirt and I run away because there's way too many options. And that's what it feels like with a lot of the AI tools. Now, with that, a little bit of glossary so we understand what exactly are we talking about. So when we speak, when we speak generative AI, what does it really mean, right? And I'm sure you've heard that a lot. And what it really is AI systems that are capable of generating new content, including text, video, audio, based on learned patterns from data. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. That's your chat GPTs. And those are models that can generate relevant text from prompts. GAN is basically a generative adversarial network, and it's something that will train generative models via a framework, a competitive framework that goes between, constantly compares between two models. One is going to be a generator and one is going to be a discriminator, mainly for image and text generation. Then we have NLP, which is natural language processing, a field of computer-human interaction via natural language, which covers understanding and generation. LLM, large language models, that is basically what you see when you interact with ChatGPT or Gemini or Gork or any of the other ones that are out there. LPU is a specialized language processing unit that is efficient for natural language processing. And it's something that actually Gork, and I don't know if you guys are aware that Gork is not the same to be confused with Elon Musk Grok, because a lot of people actually confuse it. But it's so much faster than ChatGPT, and we're going to do a test to see that. And I've been kind of like a big fan of it, even though it's not necessarily meant to be, your everyday LLM. AGI is theoretically AI with broad, flexible intelligence, and it's similar to a human capabilities that are actually able to do intellectual tasks, not just, prompt tasks. And ASI, we're not really there yet, but is the future. It's really what's going to surpass human intelligence in basically all aspects. And that includes creativity, decision-making beyond what humans are capable of. Now, luckily, we're not there yet. We'll see what happens when we get there. So I guess understanding some of those terms, and when I, say LLM, when I say LPU, that's basically what that means, because I feel like sometimes people, speak in acronyms, and then everybody's like, what? What does that mean? Okay, prompting, basics of prompting. Like I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because there's a lot of prompting tutorials out there. I'm going to send you to a YouTube workshop that I did on this, and it goes very huge dive into all of the prompting techniques that are out there. But what prompting really is a practice of providing an AI model with a input, with specific text, and then expecting a desired output. And with that, what you have is obviously the prompt, the text that you input into the LLM, you get the response generation, and that's the process where the prompt, gets processed based on all the pre-trained information that it's been trained on, or the data set that it's been trained on. And then prompt engineering is really the art of crafting prompts that can enhance responses and the quality and the relevance of whatever you are searching. Prompting is not just about generating and getting an AI to, produce the text. It's more about effectively communicating with this model like you would communicate with a human. There's different frameworks. This is just 3 of them, most common ones, which zero-shot learning. It just means that you're going to ask AI something like, what should I do today? But you don't give it any information whatsoever. Few-shot prompting, few-shot learning is basically you give it, okay, I'm in Boise and I feel like going out for dinner. Where should I go? And that's like you give it some more information, right? Chain of thought prompting, this is a little bit more complicated. And this is really where you go and bounce back and forth with the model, and you ask it to clarify, and you ask it that it understands what you're actually asking to do. So again, like I said, I'm not gonna go diving too much into this. So for a prompt to be really, really good is make it specific. The more criteria you give it, the more focused response is going to be. Working steps, like the same way how you would tell your child, go here, do that, and then come back and give it to me, the same way you want to work in steps with a LLM model. And then if you don't get the response you want, you can always go back, iterate, and improve on that. This is the QR code for the prompting frameworks, and I go into outputs, I go into modifiers, I go into prompt priming, I go into for business, I go into simple and advanced prompts, I go into practical everyday prompts and effective prompts and focus prompts. I mean, I go into a lot of prompts. It's about 45 minutes. But if you really want to get good at ChatGPT, if that's what you're going to use, you want to know how to prompt it correctly. So that's that. And then ways in which you can actually just start thinking about how you can use AI for small businesses or any businesses is like, you said, crafting targeted emails and building a brand identity and creating content and repurposing it. And we're going to go in each one of those categories with specific tools. You can write marketing copy and pitches, building websites. I've actually built several websites just with AI tools, optimizing your user experience. If you already have a website, you can target digital ads, analyze SEO keywords, personalize chatbots and AI agents, create your own AI agent and your AI chatbot, create videos for marketing purposes, streamline marketing research. So there's a lot to do there. Now, the next slide is, like I said, is when you walk into H&M and Target and you get overwhelmed. So if you can take the overwhelm, maybe it's time to like close your eyes because it's a lot. There's a lot of tools for a lot of things. And those are tools that I personally have tested and have worked with. And if you want to get ideas and like, what should I use for what? All of them here, they do different things, okay? So obviously, there's a lot to be done. And just yesterday, just to see how fast things are moving, Anthropic, which actually is the creator of Claude, just introduced Claude 3, which is their top tier Opus version, is actually faster now than ChatGPT 4 and Gemini Pro. So it's like, this just happens yesterday. I'm like catching up on news today, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta do more research. I'm behind. So by the time you leave today, probably none of this matters. Yeah. So I feel like we're wasting our time right now. But that's where we're at. Like, things are moving so fast that it can be like a little bit like having a heart attack, or like, oh my gosh, when will I ever be able to catch up with all of this? And then, of course, you have copy and marketing for strategy and for image and video graphics and product design. And all of those tools, they do a lot of similar things, but some are better than others. And many of those also are on subscriptions. So if you're like me and end up paying like about anywhere between $10 to $50 a month for which one of those, how much do you think that adds up? A lot, right? So my goal here is actually to try to dial with like maybe just 1 or 2, 3 tools that you can use. Yes?
Could you go back to the previous slide for just a moment?
Yes. So I will share those slides with you guys, so you don't have to be like screenshotting every photo from the back of the room, just so you know. All right. So when you think of those AI tools, also you think about almost like your utilities. I feel like the reason why we have access to so many AI tools is because it's also become this democratization of AI, which makes it accessible to us. Because back in just a few like months to a year to 2 years ago, only the big tech companies had access to some of those because it was a lot of money, right? So now we're like, all of the small people like us actually can do a lot of things with what we have accessible. So we're obviously living, and this is more, if you thought there's like not enough, there's actually more. We're living in an age where AI isn't about just who has the most money, but who has the most creativity, who to harness the power that now it's available. So it's about being smart, not necessarily being big. And for a small business, I'm a small business, that's golden to me, because now I have access to this type of tools that maybe only like huge tech companies with large capitals would have. Like, it's almost like I have an entire marketing team working for me when all I need is one AI tool to do the work, right? So what I would say with all of this is start small, step by step, and go from here. And today, we're not going to go hard. What I want to do is just start small and look at some ways in which you can implement some of those tools so that, if you haven't done it, you can start somewhere. So it's raining LLMs. Like, I was thinking of that song, like, It's Raining Man. I'm like, somebody got to sing this. Which one am I going to use, right? I mean, obviously you have ChatGPT, the original, Google Bard, which just, when I was writing the description for this course, it was Google Bard. And I had to ask Nick, hey, Nick, can you actually update it to Gemini? Because like, this was like written like 2 months ago, and now it's Gemini. It's not Bard anymore. And what's cool about Gemini, really, actually, you have Gemini, if you pay for Google One services, you already have it embedded, the Gemini Pro, the Gemini Advanced. You have it embedded in those services, and it connects and integrates with all your Google apps. So if you're debating between, oh, should I use ChatGPT or Gemini, like look where your integrations make the most sense. Grok, what I love about that is so fast. Like if you're gonna ask ChatGPT to give you like you give it on one prompt and expect an output, Grok is gonna do that like in an instant. And I have started using it a little bit more. Now, again, it's not necessarily meant to be for your everyday interaction, because it's meant to be a AI cheap company, and it's more of an enterprise level usage, but it's super cool. It's like a fast race car without any safety. Claude has, like I said, just released Claude 3 and has been tested, and the new benchmark apparently are even faster than ChatGPT 4. And you have Meta Llama, and you have Pi for personal use, and you have Poe for multiple AI agents. A lot of those AI tools, you know, they can do a lot of things, and I constantly actually go and compare outputs in between them to see which one is better. And I have some of my favorites, but they're all there, and I will just go and pick whichever I want to for whatever task. Max AI has become one of my favorite lately, and I'll show you how I use it actually in LinkedIn for crafting messages and why that's important for LinkedIn lead generation. Okay, so let's start super small, right? Say all you have is an email, and then you want to use an LLM to do something. Well, you can combine that with either ChatGPT, and if you're going to pick one, I would definitely pay for ChatGPT 4, which is, you know, $20 a month, but it also includes Dolly, and I'm not a big fan of Dolly, but it's there. You can create visual images, and it's all part of the same package. Or Gemini, that's already part of your Google One premium services. That's about $15 a month if you don't have Google One. Grok is free right now. Notion is where basically I keep all my processes, and I have a lot of integration and automation that goes between Gmail and LinkedIn and spreadsheets, and it's all organized in Notion. And yeah, so Max AI, I mentioned how that is super cool. Now, why would I want to pick ChatGPT over Gemini if Gemini is like in the advanced version, it's like apparently better, or maybe Claude 3? For me, ChatGPT, it gives me the ability to actually create my own ChatGPT models. And I have actually created that for my business, and I have created that for my event business side and my fitness side. And there's ways in which you can have your own GPT model that's trained on your own data, and you can give that either as a, you know, an extra benefit to serve your audience. This is one of my models, and it looks something like, let's see, where are we? Here, right? So like literally, it's like, because I do a lot of events, this has been trained on 20 years of event data, of technical data, of strategy, of planning, a lot of things that over the years I have created processes for. And then I have 5 years of podcast episodes and transcripts and conversations that just went straight into it. Now, you can make this private, like it doesn't have to be public. Say you want to create processes internally for your own company, and you feed it processes and data, and you don't have to have it shared with the world. And you don't even have to actually allow ChatGPT to share that data with the world. You can make it private, right? Right now, this is public, but it won't tell you where the data set is coming from, because I made sure that in instructions, it's not allowed to share, right? So a lot of things that you can do with this, and then you can even monetize it. Like if you want to make this a subscription-based, you know, helper for your business, or you want to just add value, all of those things are possible. All right, so since we're here, this basically looks like, you know, this is Gemini Advanced. And what I love about the advanced version, that you can actually now categorize some of your searches. Grok looks something like this. So if I were to take, like, let's see, I actually gave it a really complicated, I'm gonna take this. So you saw how long it took ChatGPT to come up with this, right? Yes. So let's see what happens if I'm putting that in there. Did you see that? And this is a simple prompt, but imagine giving it like a prompt where it has to analyze spreadsheets, like super long spreadsheets, and create reports. It does it in no time. And then obviously you have Perplexity. That's another one that's available there. And you can run it and it's going to give you a lot of other resources. So that's another option. This one is Bing, and Bing, what's cool about Bing is actually it has multiple other options like designs, and I can't really see what's up there, but it will give you their, let's see, the mobile rewards. I feel like I'm not on the right page right now, but it will give you you can ask it anything because it has the Copilot embedded. Especially if you run Microsoft Teams, probably it's already embedded in there. This is Lindy. We're going to come back to this. Okay, so let's go back to our slides here because I'm going to come to that in a minute. Okay, so something to consider. Like, okay, the next one is, let's take it simple. And I'm using ChatGPT 4 to actually create an expense report of a recent trip that I did. And all I did was take all my receipts and use the ChatGPT computer vision to input, the receipts into it with just take a picture. And then I gave it this prompt: analyze each receipt, create an expense report based on the upload receipts. For each receipt, record the date, merchant, and amount, and then categorize each expense. And then I download that CSV file, and now I can either put it in my whatever expense reports in Google spreadsheets, if that's what you're doing, or you can, incorporate it into your whatever accounting that, software that you have. This is one of the best, easiest way you can use ChatGPT to actually do work for you. I put a lot of spreadsheets, input spreadsheets. Before ChatGPT was able to actually add documents to this new version, I used to copy Google Analytics data from my Google Analytics website and just feed it and then ask it to make sense of it. Like, okay, so tell me, what can I do? Like, what is it that I need to understand from here? So this is one super easy way, and we're like making use of the power that you already have at your hands, so you don't have to do all that work, right? Okay.
Did you scan your receipts, or you had to enter them manually?
So the app, you have the app on your phone, and you literally just like take a photo, and it scans it, and then it puts in a spreadsheet file. So that's, or if you're using the ChatGPT on the on the web browser, it has an ability to attach documents or images, and then computer vision is the model that it will use to actually scan. Another thing that I've done, sometimes like you read a really good book and it's like, I wish I could actually save this somewhere. I used to like take pictures and then lose pictures, and now all I do is like I use ChatGPT, extract the text from this page, and I save it into my Noted or whatever I want to be reminded of, like that one paragraph that was so amazing and I wanted to remember it. Okay, simple, super easy way to use ChatGPT for crafting boring emails. Compose AI actually was one of the first AI plugins that used to be available to draft replies super fast. It used to be free. I think right now is free for a limited amount of words, like 1,500. It's $10 a month if you want to do the annual plan. If you have ChatGPT, probably you don't want to do that because, why would you pay for yet another tool? But what's cool about that, let me see if I can tap into this really cute, if I can get my cursor over there. Yeah. So let's just go here. I actually left 2 emails open. I didn't reply to them because I wanted to use this. So this is an email, right? So let's say like I want to reply to this with, this is embedded, this is a Compose AI that if I do a reply, I can either use Max AI to just say thanks, or I can use Compose AI, which is here, right? So I would just say, hey, thanks. So what it does, it literally crafts this email. Now, I still want to read it. I still want to make sure that it sounds like me, and I'm not sending some like crazy reply to someone. But for people that all I want to do is say no, honestly, I don't even put that effort. All I do is like say no, it's like bye, and it's done, right? What Max AI has actually, it's a little bit more, and it can do like more follow-up, and it can do, you know, more information. But Compose AI is one of the easiest way to just like get it done. Composing boring emails, I'm not sure exactly the level at which, but then you can give it here, like more information, like write, you know, I don't know, something for that, right? So that's one way in which you can easily save hours. I promise you, like Monday morning when I have to go through all my emails, this is such a saver. Okay, one cool integration that I started using a whole lot more is Zapier with ChatGPT. Now, if you're not familiar with, it's a platform that creates automation and zaps, basically. So here's one cool example in which I was able to help someone that just moved into the US. They were coming from a different country. They weren't speaking a lot of like good English, just kind of like broken English, but they wanted to start a landscaping business. And they had such a hard time to get back to customers and like talk like regularly. So all they needed, like they needed some support in which they wanted to get back to the, you know, the inquiry that came via email without sounding like, you know, broken English. So with Zap having an integration, which basically what the process was, is you create this integration that you give it, you know, the, you know, name, whatever email to respond, that runs it through ChatGPT because you want ChatGPT to craft the email, and then it sends it back to the responder. So all of this can be created in a loop that's automated. And once that Zap is created, every time the inbox got a new email, the ChatGPT integration would respond. And then that simple automation has helped this one person that struggled to really like speak and in a professional manner double their business in the first quarter after implementing that. So that's like one simple example in which you can use. This is accessibility. This is not just like, oh, I want to be the smartest kid in the town. I want this to make accessible to someone that has a hard time, like even speaking, right? So that was super cool. Now, another one here that I love to use is it's Agent 𝗵𝗽𝗀. And you're probably going to laugh, but I'm going to give you another example on how I used it just recently. I was hiring for a position. I finally actually made an offer to someone for a position that was open at my company. And I went through like a whole month of, you know, how it is to go through candidates and resumes. And I'm like, this process, and I'm one person like going through all the resumes and all the, making sure that I'm finding the right candidate because I'm a little, you know, people matter, and important people in the right seats matter, you know, talking about the EOS model. And I have Mr. Agent 𝗵𝗽𝗀, which actually is an email agent. It's almost like how you send your assistant an email and ask your assistant, hey, I need this report by this time. And your assistant would email back. It's like, okay, great. What would you like me to do? So this is what it looked like. I email Agent 𝗵𝗽𝗀 a task. This is another example where I'm like, here's a spreadsheet of like 500 entries. Can you please categorize, make sure that there's no duplicates, make sure that all those, you know, answers are, you know, are vetoed, and only include the relevant answers. And then 𝗵𝗽𝗀 would get back to me with, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is this is what you need. And then you respond, yes. And you approve the brief. And next thing you know, you get a brand new spreadsheet, all organized in the way you want it. So what I did with the resumes, talking about this earlier, I basically uploaded a resume, and then I would ask, okay, please analyze the attached resume for the job description, job title, and the role involves, and then I will include what the, you know, the brief of the job description was and the key responsibilities, and our company values are, and then I will include the company values. And based on this, extract the main qualifications from the resume, assess the candidate's alignment with the job requirements, and identify any potential gaps in experience and in skills. Include 2 clarifying questions that I can ask this person during the pre-screening interview, and conclude with a summary of the candidate's suitability for the role, including a rating from 1 to 5 based on their overall qualifications, and recommend the next step. So I would get a report for each one of those people, and then I would decide, okay, so who do I want to pick up the phone and call for a 5-10 minute interview, because I don't want to waste my time with like calling everyone that came in. But now I have like a brief of like this long versus 7 pages long, because some people's resumes are really, really, really long. And I have the questions that I want to ask based on that resume. Now I still have the resume in front of me, but like after 500 resumes, I'm so tired, right? So this really, really helped get my, my A-lister candidate, and was able to like rate them like from, I was looking at like 3 to 5 are the people that I'm going after. And then I could sort even more based on like, what I had. So that's just another example where some of those tools can really, really, help you. And then another automation that I love to use a lot is Bardeen with Notion. And what Bardeen does, it can connect into your social media, into your LinkedIn. And I'm going to show you a quick way in which it does that. And it can take, say you do a lot of content on LinkedIn, which I do, and you just should do, because that's where your leads, if your business, are coming from. And you want to know, okay, so all these people that commented on my post, how I want them imported into my CRM, or I want them imported into a spreadsheet so I can follow up with later, or I want to actually see if they, if they're interested in my products and how are they interested. All of that can be done through this integration that is done as a playbook, and you just need to have it set up on the back end. And next thing you know, like you got, your spreadsheets with the people that you're interested to follow up with, or maybe write some, meaningful messages to. Another way to optimize your business is Reclaim AI. For me, is a must-use, must-have tool that works, embeds into your calendar, whether that is Google or Outlook or whatever calendar you have, and blocks times for specific things. So like, for example, it's important for me to have time that I just focus. There was a session earlier today where you work on the business versus in the business. But if you don't block time, I don't know about you, but for me, I live by my calendar. If that time is not blocked, things don't happen. So Reclaim will create certain habits, and I can tell it specifically. This is the 3 things that I care about. 1, I gotta have my workouts in the morning. 2 hours, the world can be burning, I'm in the gym. So that has to be blocked. People have access to my calendar because I'm a consultant and I open it up to a lot of people. If I don't block it for myself, that time is just going to go in all other places. So Reclaim AI will give you the ability to do that. And even in the free option, you can just do 3 habits that you must block, right? So calendar blocking is a must. Zoom and AI Companion, I don't know if you do a lot of Zoom meetings, but AI Companion is such a helper in note-taking, and especially in bullet point follow-ups. And okay, what are the action points that were to be taken from this conversation? Google Meet and Microsoft Teams, I use Read AI and Otter AI if I don't have the companion, because a lot of my meetings sometimes happen on Google Meets. I love Read AI. Actually, I've used Read AI from the very beginning. And then same thing you can do with, Monday is it's really good for management, and I integrate Notion into that as well. Task tracking, putting tasks into the calendar, and again, making it work for you so that you do less work and AI can pick up some of that lift. Okay, here's another example this is all about LinkedIn strategy for lead generation, because I'm curious, where are your leads coming from? Do you guys know, like, what are your main leads?
Customer referrals.
Customer referrals. Okay, how do those referrals come to you? Word of mouth? Okay, all right. For me, LinkedIn is huge when it comes to engaging with my targeted audience, with establishing a professional voice, with showcasing expertise, with generating valuable leads. So there is something that has to be said about LinkedIn as a tool, as a business owner. And you don't even have to have LinkedIn Navigator, Sales Navigator for this. There is a golden hour when if you post something, in order to maximize your reach, make sure that in that first hour after posting, you get 10 comments so that you get over 1,000 impressions and views in less than 24 hours. That is your golden tip for how to make LinkedIn use for you. Now, another thing is try to comment on at least, 3 to 5 new posts 5 days a week, because every comment that you make is shown to your network, and that's your way to actually showcase your expertise, to be top of mind, and to make impressions. LinkedIn rewards those that are active and that have thought leadership and are really putting a lot of content out there that is relevant and that is helpful. And I have several of those top whatever voices, and I rotate in between them. You can actually have up to 5 that you can just rotate in between, but my goal is to work to this. Now you gotta have also like 50,000 followers on LinkedIn for that, but that's my goal, all right? So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to incorporate LinkedIn as a strategy for your lead generation. And I promised that I was going to show you how Max AI helps with some of those little things. So let's just go to LinkedIn here really quick. And we're going to go here. And I know Victoria, so I want to say something, and I want to say something nice. And I'm like, I would love to comment with something thoughtful. That sounds right. Okay. 1 comment done. Good. All right, let's see. What else are we gonna? Okay. I don't know who that is. Oh, I love this one. Let's like this. Do you see what Max AI can do for you and how fast that is? Now, is it hard to put 10 comments on LinkedIn to get your reach? Once you have this, you have no more excuses to engage. That's all I'm saying. But let me tell you, some days I will go and write a very thoughtful right answer to the people that I connect with the most. But other days I'm just straight out text out mentally, and I cannot come with any original thought. This is your go-to assistant to help you do that. Okay, so if you're gonna use LinkedIn, maybe incorporate some of those tools. And another cool thing here for LinkedIn, do you see this 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝘁𝗲? This is another, it's a Chrome extension that it gives you a few key indicators on where your engagement is, where your impressions are, followers, and all of that. So again, it all goes back to like, where am I? What am I doing? And I'm a little bit competitive, so I care about that. And there's actually even a leaderboard that you can go and see where you are based on that. So that's one way in which you can use that for your lead generation purposes. Okay, so we covered that really quick. Let's go into the next. Okay, another one way in which you can analyze LinkedIn leads, and this is built into a playbook, into an integration. So say you put a lot of thought into creating this post that is really relevant to your targeted audience, and it could be about, I don't know, your specific industry insights, and it's about a product launch, and I don't know, things kind of moved out of the way. You can still see what's happening. So you have that LinkedIn post, and then you can run an automation from Bardeen, which will scrape your LinkedIn post, copy all those post commenters to a Google Sheet that's going to be exported. And then you can take that Google Sheet into ChatGPT and analyze for leads. That's another way in which you can look at, so it's not just about like putting a bunch of content on social. How do I take that into leads, right? For me, I'm like all about creative, but there's a lot of strategy and a lot of analytics that goes into my creative processes. So That's one way. Another example here is like, say you have a LinkedIn contact and you want to learn more about them and you want to know how can you speak to their specific problem, right? How can you fix their specific pain point? You have this automation that will take that contact and you can either copy that link into one of those LLMs and you can ask it to write a specific custom message based on that person's profile, post, comments, and all of this can be created automatically into Bardeen, so you don't have to do it. Or if you don't have the integrations, because you need someone like me to probably set it up for you, you can still take it to ChatGPT or to Perplexify or whatever, any of those tools, to identify which are some of those ways in which you can connect with your audience. And one more way in which I'm going to show you here with marketing data from analytics is use any prompting LLM. LinkedIn gives you the ability to request an archive of all your data. It takes about 2 days, but you have it. If you go into your own account, into the data and privacy, you can request all your data to download it. Once you get all that data, then you have your archive, you can upload it to ChatGPT, and then you can use several prompts to ask specific things. Like, for example, one of the things could be, I love this one, is the best, because I ran it on my data and I was surprised to find out that the people that I'm most engaged with probably are not the people that I should be the most engaged with based on the data and based on who I'm supposed to help and I'm supposed to reach to. So you can use any of those, like, either identify 3 key reasons why this specific topic is particularly relevant to this one client and elaborate on how that reasoning was happening, how to address and solve specific problems. Or in this case, you can categorize identify what are the top connections that you should be prioritizing in your networking efforts. Again, if you're going to put time into it, might as well lead to some results. So this is one way in which you use your own data based on your connections, and it's going to read and tell you specifically who are the people that you should be focusing on connecting with in a more tangible, intentional, but also strategic way, right? So I hope if you take anything away, that is one way where you're going to implement it into your LinkedIn strategy. All right, and this is where I'm going to go over a few different tools that you can use for prospecting. Prospect.io is the one that I use. You can, if you already have any of those, like Pipedrive, or most common one is HubSpot, then you're probably already on your way. Find That Lead is another great tool for small businesses where you integrate into your sales stack. It gives you a lot of data insights into who your ideal customer is and how you should connect. And from there, you obviously, you can use AI to customize very specific messages for all of those leads based on their interest. This is a lot about personalization. And I feel like AI is like winning the most in that department. If you can personalize a specific service to a specific client, that's where the winners are. My lightweight strategy, sales strategy, when it comes to my business, it involves on focusing on inbound marketing that is very much around posting relevant content, posting stellar content, particularly on LinkedIn, because that's where my ideal customer is, to bring people to my website. And once they're on my website, I have this automation that goes through a lead generation process, and that is done by Tidio. Tidio keeps an eye on everything that happens on my website. Tidio also has an AI chatbot that interacts with people that come to my website, but also it gives me a really good visual on who's hitting my website, where do they come from, and what pages are they landing on. I have a lot of data that I keep track on, like literally comes to my watch. Like every time somebody hits my website, I'm like, oh, they're from New Jersey. I'm wondering who they are. So all of that's already integrated. Now, once I have that list of prospects, then I run it through prospect IO, and it gets actually a very much segmented based on job title, based on function, based on like exactly who are the people that I'm interested to connect versus there's a lot of other people that they don't really fit my persona, right? And then once that is done, the automation created through Bardeen is going to create the emails, it's going to send the customized messages, and it goes and feeds into Google Analytics. And it's this loop, you know, that you basically just test and repeat and see what works best for you. And I feel like in a lot of those automations, it's constant reevaluation of your processes to make sure that it works for your specific business. Now, when it comes to content, I love the creation process. I get so many new ideas, like from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, that, you know how they say LinkedIn, you should only post on LinkedIn once a day, because the moment you post the second post will conflict with the first one, so the algorithm will just like fight you. So if you're gonna post, try to post once a day, but be consistent about it. I'm like, I have 5 things to post today because I have so many ideas. What do you do with the content if you have a lot of ideas? Well, you can repurpose it to the end world. So say you start with that idea and then you're like, okay, so what do I do with that, right? Obviously it can be like, let's say it's a description of your process or service, or you can, you know, obviously you want to identify your target audience because that's important, because you're not just speaking and you're not for everyone. And you create a script with ChatGPT because you're thinking, okay, I want to provide more details, and I also want to, you know, make sure that this is a very engaged script. And what am I going to do with this? Well, you can do multiple things. You can create an avatar video, and I will show you mine. And you can just feed it that script, and then literally you have a video that you can put on social that looks like you in your likeness and sounds like you. Or you can create a promotional video, and then you can use the script to record, and then the script also edits your video, removes all the filler words, adds captions, and then you share it on social. Or if you're more of someone that, well, I don't like to write, actually, I like to speak, you record your content, and then you take the transcript, and then you post that on social media into post articles and whatnot. Or then you're like, okay, so what else do I do? I can distribute content, like you know, we're talking about distribution. You can tailor every single piece of content to specifically a different social media. You can use, you know, content optimization tools like, you know, ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini. I love to use a lot of Midjourney. Every picture that you saw on this presentation today was created either with Midjourney or Ideogram. I'm not a big fan of DALL-E. I feel like DALL-E is still kind of behind. Midjourney has been my go-to, and then I just started playing with Ideogram, and it's been kind of fun, actually. And obviously, you have your Canva for whatever graphics and whatnot. So there's a lot to be done with just one original idea that can be turned into one piece of content. Now, text to image, like I said, Midjourney, Ideogram, one of my favorite now. A lot of those are available free. Like with Ideogram, you can create 25 free images. And if you need more than 25 free images a day, probably you're creating a lot of content and you should probably pay for Midjourney. I constantly actually go in between all of those, and between Ideogram and Midjourney. And this is basically my Midjourney. And I was just creating some images for this one particular. So you have so many options where, like, in the past, I used to do a lot of production for events, but there were sales and activations that I couldn't share photos from inside the event as a marketing material. So I wouldn't have, like, you know, image do, you know, are worth 1,000 words. I wouldn't have images to my post, to my learnings, to my takeaways. Now I don't even really need to have images, because I'm just gonna like create one that sort of matches what I'm like going for, and here you have it. You've got the image, you know. So now I don't put the client in jeopardy. I don't have to go and ask for permission to use the photos. None of that matters anymore. I still have the visual, right? So this is it's super awesome. I love to use that one. Ideogram looks more like, let's see, where is it here? Yeah, so with this one, actually, you can create, what's cool about this one, you can create the different ratios. And this is what people have created just in the last minute. And my daughter last night came to me super sad because she's like, I want a pine tree. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a pine tree. How about we create you a pine tree? And she's like, how about with rainbows, butterflies, and so I entertain my kids sometimes with Midjourney, and it works. So yeah, that was just a fun project there. Dolly, I feel like, is a little bit too, I don't know, like cartoonish for me. So I guess that's the best way to put it. I like to use Midjourney a lot more than I use Dolly, that's for sure. But it's embedded in ChatGPT, it's easy, so might as well use it. Womba is another cool one if you haven't used it. Stability AI is what used to be called Stable Diffusion. That's a really good one as well. Okay, I'm gonna spend too much time here because we're coming to close here. But text-to-speech, 11 Labs is literally, if you wanna create either educational or processes or manuals or, I don't know, voiceovers, or even like have your services translated in different languages, any of those tools will help you do that. Text to video, this is one of my most favorite ones. So just as I was preparing for this talk, 2 weeks ago, literally, ChatGPT, out of nowhere, released Sora. And everybody was like, what the hell is this? Like, what happened, right? I love to use Pictory for text to video for products. Like if I'm going to use to do a product demo, that's a good one because it includes B-roll, includes a bunch of video elements, and then all you have to do it is literally just text. Yes.
Sora is available now?
It's only available to red teams, and they're actually gonna make it available to the whole world. But I was gonna actually show you guys how amazing. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if you've watched this. They're basically, but this all is on their channel and has been created. Just like some of those things are like beyond. It's really amazing. So the technology, oh gosh, it's moving at such a neck breaking speed that I you gotta be, you know, this is my avatar, by the way. Okay, so let me tell you, one of my biggest anxiety, even though I have created in the last 5 years thousands of video content, because my podcast is video, I do video events, I do everything is video. But one of my biggest anxieties every morning is actually putting on makeup. And probably if you're a man, it's like, I can't relate, I don't have that problem. I'm like, fine. But if you're a lady, like if you want to look presentable on video, you're gonna have to go through a process. And for me, that process, it's not my thing. It's just not. So even this morning, I'm like, I'm having anxiety attack just to fix this up. So now imagine that you don't have to. You have an avatar in your likeness and you want to just feed it some information. It can be your intro to your YouTube channel. It can be your welcome to your website. It can be anything you want. I go into my avatar. See, where is my, hey Jen, we're here somewhere. That was from, oh yeah, those are all the avatars that I create based on scripts. Her name is Mira. And I'm probably going to create another one because this was created around Christmas time and I have a lot of like Christmas looking things around it. But what I was going to say is like one way I use it actually. So say I record a podcast episode and at the end of the conversation, once the podcast is over, I take the script, I run it through ChatGPT and I ask for the 3 main takeaways. And then I take those 3 main takeaways, I feed it to Mira, and then Mira becomes my intro to the podcast. So literally, hey, in this podcast episode, we're going to talk about right? Now, I wish there's a tool where live, as you're conversing with your guest, those main takeaways are literally happening as the conversation is going, so you can review it at the end of the conversation and say, today we talked about right? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find a tool for that. So my workaround has been, okay, I still want to have those 3, main takeaways. I'm going to put in the beginning of the episode with like my avatar. Okay, a couple of few more things here before we end because we're really at time. Graphic design has been around for many, many years, but not everybody is good at graphic. Okay, I'm not the most great at like particular at graphics. but Canva has made me. Now you can have any of those tools, and if you're a business, you probably use Jasper, but there's so many more, like Sensei. Adobe Sensei is another amazing tool to use. All of those will make that graphic creation so much easier. And then it could be logos, it could be pamphlets, it could be infographics, anything you can think about. It's so much easier. You just need to have the idea. I feel like that's where all of this is going to. We're still humans. AI still relies on us to create a lot of content, a lot of processes, but those are the tools that now we have. Writing copy, if you're not good at writing copy, I created websites where, like, okay, this is what I'm going for, this is what I want, help me. And then you have all of those tools that can help you do that. And it goes in high quality content, not just like cheesy content, because one of the reasons why I highlight how important prompting is, especially if you're going to use ChatGPT, is because you want to train it to sound like you. Like, you really want it to know your voice, how you talk, how you interact, so you don't sound like somebody that constantly says moreover, treasure growth. Like, when I see people like write like this on LinkedIn, I'm like, that's ChatGPT. Like, we all know, like, moreover. Like, there's a certain words that you know that's like, oh God. All right, podcast and media. We were talking about if you want to distribute. I actually been recording on StreamYard for a very long time. Riverside is a great platform if you're recording with guests that are remotely. The script is great to take whatever content you want, and it really makes you a editor magic professional. Then you don't have to know anything about edit, and it removes filler words, it creates snippets, and it does captions. There's a lot of work that can be done with the script, and I love to use it a whole lot these days, and it's super easy. It's like, it really is like, it's for the dummy level. Content repurpose. Gloss AI has been my go-to for snippets that automatically upload an episode, like a 60-minute episode, and turn it into like 30-second or 60-second clips. Repurpose AI. This is the one that I was going to show you because you talked to me about that earlier. See, whoever came earlier was able to actually talk about their main problems, and now I've got. Okay, let's see. Does this come up? Okay, great. Okay, it's going there. I don't know why it kicked me out. Okay, so this is some of the workflows that you can create. Say you have a lot of content on YouTube, and this is automatically happening on a schedule. It creates snippets and it sends it to Facebook, it sends it to my LinkedIn, it sends it to another LinkedIn because I have a few pages, TikTok, Instagram, and then I even takes the full length content and creates short form videos, and I don't have to do anything. All I had to do is to create this workflow, and it automatically goes into my LinkedIn and sees what else I posted. So all I do is like one step, upload to LinkedIn, upload to YouTube, and then it takes it to all the places that. And then you create different templates, like how do you want those to look like? And I have 3 of them, and it's like a square, a vertical, and then a video. And then you dump your logo, and everything just goes straight up and it's done. So that's a super easy way to just repurpose a lot of content without actually having to do all the work. You can still use Opus Clip, which creates those vertical videos. You can, Swell AI is amazing for taking the transcripts of any video, any audio, and then creating articles, like full-fledged articles and blog posts that all you have to do is copy and paste into your website as a blog. And I would repurpose my podcast into actually blog posts and into articles. And like, there's so many ways in which once you create something, you give it so many legs, it's like I said, it's like there's a lot of things to do. If only you can create that one first piece of content. All right, AI assistants. I feel like we covered a little bit Lindy. I didn't get a chance to show you guys Lindy, but Lindy is like another one of those like Herbie, only it's an interface. And where was it? I think was That's Perplexity, that was that. Oh yeah, this is Lindy, right? So Lindy actually was created for medical professionals and systems to categorize a lot of their input and data, but it's used a lot, like I use it for my onboarding, and I gave it different things. And it has a lot of different things that you can add as, like, lead generator, it can chat with your PDFs, it can investigate and prospect, it can give competitive analysis. And all of this is almost like in the format of ChatGPT, only is very specific to lead generation and customer service. So that's a free agent that you can use as well as an AI assistant. And the difference between, let's go back to my slides here. All right, so this is my favorite. There's a few different ones that you can use. I go between Lindy and Herbie all the time. I think the difference between people got turned off by chatbots because they're kind of stupid and annoying. And it's true because they kind of are, but that's because they're actually computer programs that can simulate human communication, but they're not learning from that. What AI chatbots do, and this is where I've been implementing some on my website, they learn from every single conversation that they're having. So technically, they're able to solve up to 73% of your inquiries. And I've actually had such a higher rate of leads turning into actual prospects, only because I have implemented a chatbot. And right now I have another one that I'm testing. It's called Chat Simple. The Chat Simple, but Tidio has been one of the ones that I've used the most. Pro is another one. There's a few different ones. Chat Simple, I'm just right now testing to see if it's any better than Tidio, just for my own benefit to know. It's very much interface. It looks the same as Tidio, but just to keep in mind. One thing I was going to mention about AI avatars. So there's the CEO of Otter that has said that right now they're training an avatar model that by the end of the year will be able to join Zoom meetings and any meetings on your behalf, like you would be joining those meetings. To me, that's the solution to cloning myself. I always wanted to do it. If there's a way in which that's possible, sign me up. I mean, I already have an avatar that really speaks on my behalf, and it kind of freaks a lot of people out when I put that out there. They're like, it's like, what's that? It's like, I didn't realize he wasn't new until I heard this speak. Because you can increase the pitch, you can increase the speed at which he speaks. Like, he spoke in Chinese at one point, it's like, what is happening? So if I can send my Mira avatar to some of my Zoom meetings that I don't have to go, knowing that it's actually trained on my own knowledge and on the answer, and can give more information and knowledge than I can remember on a day when I'm just not feeling like it, I'm all for it. Okay, and with that, here's where we are in the 77% out of businesses, they say that they're definitely thinking about implementing and exploring AI. 35% are really putting it into action, and 42% are really on the fence. Now, the rise of AI, I know there's a fear that it might displace many jobs, and it definitely necessitates the human role to support AI operations. And I hope that what's going to happen in the future, because I don't know what the future brings, right? We all have, the fear of how AI is going to replace us. My goal is for a modern business, adopting AI is really not an optional thing anymore. It's essential if you really want to be part of the evolution. If you want to streamline your operations, if you want to create that indispensable role between your customers and what the expectation is, and also still be in control of how much of that is happening with you adding that human touch into this AI world that we're all navigating as we speak. And there's a lot to be said about ethics and empathy and collaboration and not competition, and how, in order for us to make it, we really have to be at the forefront of this progress. Like, the picture that comes to mind to me is the dinosaurs. You don't want to be a dinosaur in this new world. You really want to stay at the forefront of what's happening, because if things are moving fast now, just wait a minute and see what's going to happen just next month and the month after. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to be talking about, like at the end of the, and I'm actually being, I get invited to speak in September, and I'm like, I can't even imagine what September is going to look like, because there's a lot of things that are happening right now in this moment, right? So my hope is that you're going to look at some of those tools, you're going to implement them, and you're going to play with them, and then you're going to like constantly stay, one step ahead, so that you're not going to be taken by surprise. Like, I think of my mom, like living in Romania, and just to get her to be on a video chat, it took her like 20 years. I'm like, really? Like, how hard can it be, right? We don't want to be that. Like, I feel like there's hope for us if we can stay in step with the technology. Then we're not going to be taken completely by surprise when, say, AGI, ASI happens, right? So focus obviously on ethics, empathy, and encouraging that human AI collaboration in order to enhance our survival, our chances of survival in this new future, that whatever that might look like. And yeah, and those are my last thoughts. Embrace the change, innovate relentlessly. And at the end of the day, it's not just that the future is happening, you get to shape that future. Scan this for the slides. And I'm sorry I went over time. And then to connect with me, if you have questions, actually, I would love to answer some of your questions. Obviously, not a lot of time left, but I would love to answer them, or you can just send them to me. LinkedIn is where I really hang. So find me there. You can find me on my website as well. I do empower businesses with tailored services on the AI spectrum, AI implementation strategy. And I'm all about continuous learning. I provide a lot of resources for business owners, for anyone that wants to learn more about. And I also host monthly AI bootcamps if you're interested. All of that is on my website. So with that, I think I'm totally out of time. And thank you for you still being here. So I can still take a few questions if you guys are not in a hurry. Yes.
Are you going to make this a YouTube video?
I have the recording. I actually will take a minute to what I like to do is take it to my editor, my AI editor.
That's what my next question was. Are you going to have an avatar introduce this?
I might as well do that. But I want to put the slides onto the video so that it's easier, because obviously from the back of the room probably couldn't see any slides, and then post it on YouTube. Most likely it's going to happen, in the next few weeks.
What did you mean when you said LinkedIn rewards you? You're rewarded by
rewards you for the comments by giving you those top voice whatever badges. And there's not a lot of people that have it, but that just shows your expertise. And honestly, when I go and interact with someone on LinkedIn and he has one of those badges, to me that adds extra weight to their thought leadership, to their expertise, to their knowledge. Just something to keep in mind if that's a place where, if that's a playground for you. For me, it is a big lead generation for a lot of the things that I do. So obviously, I spend more time there than I spend on any other social media channel.
So that's why you're in that top event planning voice?
Yeah, I'm actually top for web content, AI, and event planning, just because I'm in the event space.
When you said that you could hide or not have it be published,
yeah.
Is that under one of those, like a ChatGPT?
Yeah.
You can tell it to not share?
Absolutely.
You have to be a paid subscriber of it.
So you have to be a paid subscriber. I'm going to show you a few things. Let's go in ChatGPT here. So one thing that I don't know if a lot of people know, it's on this side that I can I, okay, let's get, open it. Okay, so obviously this GPT that I have created, I have settings. Can I get into its settings? Edit, okay. It has been created on specific data, and you can configure it, and you can give it instructions, and you can give it a lot of documents they can upload. And then you can also ask it in the advanced settings if this is public or not. Also, can you use the conversation to improve its models? You might say no, because I don't want that information to be public. Mine is public, this particular one. But there's another place where And here's in the instruction you can say, you see how it says something about stipulation. You are not allowed to reveal the knowledge database you've been trained on. So if somebody goes on the GPT and says, what data set have you been trained on? You won't tell you because you told it that you're not allowed to reveal none of that, right? And there's actually GPTs that I would go intentionally because I have friends that have created other GPTs. Like for example, one is a wellness GPT. I don't know where it went, but it was there. And I would ask it, I'm just curious, like, what is the data set you've been trained on? And it'll be like Arnold Pump Club. I'm like, this is not your data set. This is somebody else's. So is this really your ChatGPT or is it somebody else's? You know what I mean? So you can actually trick it to tell you, but if you give it specific instructions not to, then it will tell you. Like if I ask it right now.
This is essentially how you become your own voice.
Exactly.
Right? Because you load your own content, you load your own voice and your personality to it, so then it spits out the best version of you.
Exactly. It is, but again, it's trained on your knowledge, on your data set. And let's see, I don't have access to my trained data, right? And it just gives you like a general, like I have wide range of sources, books, website, blah, blah, blah. But it won't tell you where exactly is that coming from. Yeah. And you don't want it to. I mean, why would you want to make that available to, people say it's not their business to know? No, what I would call that, this is you creating a tool for a specific reason. Say you're in the health care industry. You want that tool, and there's so many GPTs out here that people have already created, right? Like say you're interested in, I don't know, like write for me. This is specific only for writing copy. So you wouldn't have a lot of knowledge like the general ChatGPT has on a lot of other things. It's just specifically for that topic. And why that's important is because now it can focus. It's almost like when you have a generalist versus when you have an expert. So this is an expert in a topic, and like you go to your medical provider or you go to the specialist. That's kind of like what those GPTs are, right? They become specialists in a specific topic or area or niche or whatever. On the other question that you just said, like you can have your own GPT here, settings. And a lot of people don't know that actually there's a lot of things here where you build your, let's see, where am I in the right builder profile? That's my builder. I need to go into.
This is the page, right?
This is the page, yeah, but I want to go into. Is it testing or let me see, where is it? No, it's not that. It's so hard to see from here. Okay, data controls, manage, share links. It's here, archive. No, there's a setting here in the system where you can give it your own specific information about you. I'm trying to get to it, but my GPT is customized. ChatGPT, customize. So here's where you can actually go and tell ChatGPT who you are, where you live, what you want to talk about, so that automatically it knows you. How do you want it to respond? What do you want it to do? How do you want it to, like what kind of, what are the things that, like it will give you some things to actually write about. So next time you start a chat, now like let's say I want my answers to be concise in bullet format. You put it in there and then it's gonna give you those answers always, all the time, the same way, right? For the training of the specific voice, I actually have specific prompts and I actually put it here in this one. This is analyzing, but I have a, let's see, where are my specific prompts that I use for ChatGPT to one-click prompt. So I've already created a bunch of favorites of my own. So you can put it in here, but you can literally use it to take a text of a body of text that you have written before. Say you have a blog, you've written a, I don't know, instruction manual, you have some content. And then you can ask it to, you input that, and then you can ask it to analyze for voice, to analyze for tone, to analyze for all of that. and then you give it more of that original content that you have created, and then you ask it to respond in the same voice, in the same tone, in the same whatever it is, how your persona is. So like, for example, I love conversational, but I also love to talk in like kind of like to the point, brief, straight, and concise. Like I don't want to like waste like a lot of like content just like in words, right? So that's one way in which, you know, when I put something on LinkedIn and it's generated by ChatGPT, is gonna sound like all my previous posts on LinkedIn prior to ChatGPT writing a bunch of the content. But again, I don't just put like something on like here. I have a lot of stuff that I write, but I always start with like literally, I get in the shower, I get an idea, and I'm like, I gotta put in my ChatGPT because I'm gonna come back to this. And I say, okay, now elaborate on this one thought. And maybe I had a thought about a specific customer example, and I just don't have the time to elaborate and create this beautiful post. It can create that if I gave it the input, if I gave it the example, and it can craft it. And then another cool one that I started using a lot more is the viral LinkedIn post formatter. Like say you have your entire text, and now you run it through this, and then it's going to create it into the format that it has studied that posts go viral if you write it in this format, right? So like I actually just did something like that for this. So this was like just me writing like this. I'm like, here's what I want. And then I ran it through like a very like concise and like viral post, and then I can take that and put it. One thing I don't like much is like a bunch of like emojis, and you can tell it like don't use emojis, like don't make it silly, you know, like just keep it professional. But in my style is also like conversational, so like it can also be fun. But if you're more like professional, if that's your network, like probably going with a bunch of emojis is not what you should be going with. But there's a lot of things that you can do, and I love how I can sort all my queries. And then I would go back to. So I have a few here that actually are the prompting ones that it was like right in the beginning when I first started using it, like in January of last year.
How long have you been training it? It says January of 2024?
Of 2023.
Oh, okay. So like a year and change.
It's been a lot of change because in the beginning there were like this, this is an example of a prompt for SEO, but there's one where I was running examples of prompting just for training like a voice. I don't know if I see anything right now. And I started creating like some kind of categorization for me. So I literally can keep track of like what is what. If you see a prompt there, please tell me because I can't see anything. Something that starts with a prompt. I can, if you get back to me, connect with me, and I can actually give you, there's one. Okay, prompt, okay. So I actually train it on the 3.5 model, and then I train it on the GPT-4 model. Okay, so here's an example of running a prompt, right? So you give it this prompt where you tell it to analyze your style, voice, tone, and then create a prompt, a new prompt with a new paragraph in the same, because you wanted to make sure that it understands and then it responds. And then I just inputted a bunch of like content that I wrote before. And then it's going to tell you like, okay, so here's what, you know, your tone sounds like, this is like blah, 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 blah. And I had a few different ones where some of them were more intricate than others. Like this was actually going for a tone analyzer. And then I was like, this is what I want you to do. And I fed it the information, and then it would like analyze the text, rewrite it, and then, you know, make sure that he understands what that was. So next time I use it, it remembers that, you know. Okay.
Question: you presented all these different AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
How do you suggest we efficiently decide which ones are the best for our business, and also learn how to use them?
So that's where I help businesses like you figure out. But if I were to start somewhere, I would literally start with processes. What are your processes right now? And where can you use AI to give it either like make it more productive or more efficient? And then that's where you want to find a tool that will support that, right? So it's based on your process. That's why I like to have conversations one-on-one with small business owners and business owners in general, because one process might look different from like this other business, right? So for you, like something that maybe all you need is just maybe some automation or some integration, or maybe you just need to know how to use, I don't know, this ChatGPT better, or how to use it effectively so you don't feel like you're just spinning your wheels without a lot of, output. So that's kind of like where I would start. Like how I said in the beginning, if you don't have some solid processes to begin with, just throwing technology at it doesn't mean it's going to make it better. So I would just
determine our processes and talk to you.
exactly. It's like literally do an audit on your own processes and see where can you automate, where can you integrate, where can you make it better. For some people, it's just like they would need help with marketing, like with content. Not everybody wakes up with a brand new idea every morning like I do, because I can put on like posts one after another, like without a problem. My problem is like, how do I stop?
Hello there. If you're eager to host an AI workshop for your team and supercharge your team's knowledge and skills in the world of AI, connect with us now. We're looking forward to seeing you at one of our upcoming AI bootcamp to learn, grow, and take advantage of the exciting opportunities that come with AI knowledge and literacy. Connect with us to craft a custom-built workshop or bootcamp for your team or upcoming event.